gentlemen, this is Freedom Report. The broadcast will start shortly after this brief song.
I got arrested just a few days ago in a sting operation for my 13th time. My brother's 16th time. I mean, we are beating some Guinness Book of Records. This is unbelievable. I would never think that in Canada you would have to do this. It's unbelievable.
Stefanos, you're frozen. Oh man, they gotta change your modem.
1 hour later.
Forgive my paper here, but you know what? When it's that song, you write on anything you get. God bless you. Amen. Thank you.
Very large crowd here. So, very large line of protesters, very large line of police and riot police who are actually moving further. But I was, just before I even turned this phone on, they weren't coming over this snow hill up here, but here, I'll show you everybody. Yeah, they're coming over this snowbank and they're going to want to push everybody out of here.
Ed, I need it.
Well, I'm just going to start by saying I never expected to be the guy in front of the cameras, in front of the media. I just wanted to grill. I just wanted to run my business, sell our sandwiches and our platters of meat, give good job opportunities to people, and try to enrich my local community with the kind of food that I can make. I've been put in this strange position where I had no choice but to engage in civil disobedience. So.
A lot bigger crowd than Edmonton. I salute you all, freedom fighters. I'm a freedom-loving pathologist, and I've got a big career on the line here. I've spent my entire life in evidence-based medicine, being a good guy, a soldier for organized medicine, and then that's not good enough. I'm spreading, according to them, misinformation, except the only problem is they won't tell you what the information is that I'm misinforming you about.
But you told me that they had their safeties off, right?
Well, there was one guy standing there with the AR, there was kids around, and one fellow said, why do you have ARs, full tactical gear, with you when we're unarmed, and there's kids around?
Oh, there we go. Playing most games again.
Yeah.
So, so this is gonna be what you want to share out, guys.
Freedom Report has special guests like April Lejeune, Pat King, Conrad R.C. Goodsir, Artur Pulowski, Misty Wind, Mike Martins, Chris Sky, Jason J. Manpachernik, Aaron Barker, Dr. Daniel Nagasic, Adam Skelly.
And you have to prove that you have a lawful reason to be there. And I say your lawful reason is Section 6 of the...
You have a lawful reason to be here because you're a citizen of Canada.
That's right.
Everything about all the corruption and the voting scandals. Just wait till
Police started coming in and taking people's stuff again, and I thought that was illegal. They just said that illegal. They just said that return everything.
Freedom Report. Freedom Report. Broadcast starts now. Thanks for watching. Good evening, everybody. Freedom Fighter watchers, or Freedom Report watchers. Tonight we have Scott Rayner on, a good old friend of mine from Bob Cajun. He's going to discuss how to forge strong communities. We run Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. from 9 p.m. to 7 p.m. Toronto time. I screwed that right up. Anyways, we're going to bring Scott in because I don't know. Oh, Ed just got back. And let's get this slide down. How's it going, my friend?
Very well, Derek. And yourself?
Oh, not bad. Not bad.
looks like Ed's eating. He's not going to come in right now. So yeah. So strong communities. How do you build strong communities?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been quite a challenge. It's been a great challenge. But to start from the beginning, Derek, like, you know, I was going to all the rallies and the protests and convoys, and, you know, it got to a point where it was like almost we're spinning our wheels and not getting anywhere. And got together with a couple other patriots and thought, what can we do different? And we thought, like, you know, we got to get communities together, and we got to start meeting privately. Not on the streets, not at a protest, but, like, you know, in a private setting where we can have some private conversations and see how we're going to move forward and solutions to move forward. And it started with about 5 of us in my local area, and it grew, and it grew tremendously. And then we started to, like, you know, there's a lot of other communities out there the same place, but we're divided. And we all have a clear understanding that division is our greatest, that's our greatest challenge. We've been so divided. They divided our nations hundreds of years ago. They
Not like that, Scott.
They've divided our communities, like within the recent 24 months, more so than they have over the last 10 years. They divided our communities where, like, you know, either you wear a mask or you don't, or you're vaxxed or you're not, and they caused all that division within our communities. And then they divided our own families. And I'm pretty sure a lot of your audience out there can attest to the fact that, you know, some of their family members won't talk to them because they're not following in line with the globalist agenda that we have before us. And like, you know, that's their greatest tool is division, because while we're all divided, we're weak. And what we need to do is we need to unite. We got to get together. We got to find some common ground. So that's where this, like, building communities is. That's what it's all about. That's what I've been working on for the last 9 to 12 months, and it's working. It's actually working.
That's good to hear. Like, that's great. You know, like, you can teach, show people how it's done, and maybe we can build some good communities together and get back to the way things kind of were back in the day when we used to help each other with a cup of sugar or build a barn or something like that, you know?
Well, you see, Derek, you just said it. Like, back in the old days, we had strong communities. And what was that? The communities that we took care of each other. If someone was sick in your community, you know, a farmer, other farmers and other people would come and help them take the crops off. You know, we had strong communities, and that we lost that a long time ago. And it's sad, and it's led us to the reality that we're in today. Like, you know, look around you. And, like, you know, even in my own my close community here with my neighbors. And like, you know, I used to have a very good relationship with my close neighbors, and it's all shut down. They don't like the stance that I have. They don't like, you know, my thoughts or opinions of what's going on in the world. And they shut me out. Like, you know, my oldest son on Boxing Day, he called me. This is unbelievable. And like, you know, he said, your conspiracy theorist bullshit is what's driving your family away from you. And it's like, you know, like, holy jumping. But this is the reality we have to live in. This is what we have to accept. And how do we fix it? And, like, you know, we have to fix it through communication and finding common ground.
You guys watching, it starts with you.
It starts with all of us. It starts with all of us. And we gotta, you know, we've been so indoctrinated that when we have a difference opinion with someone, that we gotta hate them. And that's what it is now. It's like I follow different posts or whatever and look at comments. And when someone's, like, you know, on the freedom path and someone says, oh, you're a far right extremist, like, you know, that's all they have. All they have is to call you a racist or a far right extremist, because they have no other evidence of anything. We're freedom loving Canadians that are trying to create a future for our children and future generations. We're not extremists. We're not far right. We're not racist. We're Canadians, and for whatever reason, we have some critical thinking left within our minds. Because let me tell you, like, when I look out and when I drive down the road and I see someone today driving in their car by themselves wearing a mask, I can see how far down the wrong path we've gone. And this is who we have to deal with.
Might as well put a cardboard box in your head.
Yeah.
And drive.
Are we going to be able to convince these individuals? And that's the question. And I say no. I say don't waste your time. Like, you know, we're building communities, and I'll go into it in more depth, but it's amazing the amount of people that and a lot of the new people that are joining into the communities. I call it a community, not a group. Okay. Groups. We have so many groups.
Groups is more like a group
that
of poker
group,
people playing poker.
all these different groups. And that's what they want. They want us all divided into these little separate groups. Let's start uniting. That's why I call it a community. I'm building communities, and not myself. We are all. It's not me. There's a group of us that are building, and we're starting to unite our community. So once we have a community going, then we reach out to another community neighboring to us, and then we have a meeting. And once we get organized, then we can start working on the solution on what we're going to do to move forward. But the first thing let's start with building community. What's our first discussion? And that's prepping. So all of us here, I believe, I'm going to cough because I'm just getting over a cold. But anyways, prepping, okay, is the number one thing within any community discussion. We got to make sure that we are prepared for the coming storm. So I'm not sure where your audience is with where we're at with the storm, but there's a storm. We're in a storm, and it's going to get worse. So prepping. So do you have 8 to 12 months of food stocked up? Right? That's the number one, to make sure that you have enough food to get you through the storm. And then the other conversations in the community are security, okay? Because when shit hits the fan, and I'm going to say shit, that's a word, whatever, there's going to be a lot of people that are unprepared that are going to go into like survival mode, and they're going to try to take what you have. So security is a big aspect within our community discussions. When you're prepping and you're stocking up, you got to be prepared, and you got to be able to protect that if things do go south the way that I believe that they're going to go. And then we make relationships with local farmers, and more so organic growing farmers, right? Okay. There's so much poison and shit in our food today, and in farms and in livestock and everything. Try to find a good organic farmer in your local community and make that relationship with them where you can go directly to that farmer, right, and buy what you want. And maybe you're going to trade and barter with them, right? Maybe that farmer needs some help to get his crops off or whatever, and you can trade and barter, right? Because when the fiat system collapses, which that's a whole nother story, but it is going to collapse, and your dollars in your pocket in your bank account are zero, it's going to be what you have prepped and stocked up and prepared to trade and barter. So trade and bartering is another thing that we talk about within our communities, right? So we're bringing on all different types of trades. Another aspect of building a community is bringing in natural path, holistic healers. Okay, these aren't doctors. These are people that have a clear understanding and knowledge of natural remedies that can help you. And even some pharmaceuticals, like let's say ivermectin. And I'll tell you a quick story if I can before I yield back and say whatever. I got really deathly ill about a week ago Wednesday. And I haven't been that sick in about 15 years. And I was laid out in bed for 4 days. And I have ivermectin, but I was kind of a little bit nervous about taking it. And I talked to a couple different individuals. They said, get that ivermectin into you. So I took my first dose on Saturday, and I took my second dose on Sunday. And by Monday, I was feeling 100%. 100%. So these are the things that we're talking within our communities.
See, Ed takes that stuff quite often. You see his mane; it's nice and shiny, and you know.
Yeah, look at that.
And he goes, "Nay," once in a while.
Yeah.
It works for me.
There you go. There it is, right there, brother. And I'm gonna.
Scotty, I gave you one of these, didn't I?
You did give me one, and then I bought 10 more.
and you still didn't trust you. You didn't trust me.
Well,
Eh?
I was nervous. Like, you're nervous about this, right? You hear things, oh, it's horse medicine and all this other nonsense, and like, and I thought, well, hey, what the hell? I feel like I'm dying anyways. I'm going to take a dose, and I took the dose, and I took the one on Saturday, took it Sunday. Monday, I was feeling 100%. I got still a bit of a cough, but like, I had no energy. All my muscles, you touch the muscle, it was painful. But that's getting off track with the community talk. But anyways, but that's something that we talk within our communities, like, medicine, natural medicine, not pharmaceuticals. Stay away from the doctors as much as you can. Don't trust them. They're all, as far as I'm concerned, if they've advised you to take the gene therapy, they're guilty of crimes against humanity, as far as I'm concerned. Stay away from doctors. There are holistic natural path doctors in every community. I'm telling you, I've just met a new one yesterday that I didn't know about, and she's into this new radio therapy. It's the radio wave therapy, back from the 1920s or whatever. I can't remember the exact terminology, but anyways, so that's another thing we bring into our communities. We have a network of expertise, so carpenters, electricians, and so we're starting to build our relationships so that our community can sustain itself when and if the shit hits the fan. So it started out with one community with 5 of us. It's growing, and now we are, like, within 60-kilometer radius of my area. Okay, there's a community group in each one of these communities, and what we do is we once a month we have like a general meeting. So we have liaisons, and we all get together, right? And we have a general meeting, and we discuss things, where we're going, how we're going to do things. Like, oh, you've got this organic farmer, and you have discussions, and we work on. We have self-defense classes. Part of the Woodville community, they have they put on PAL. So if you don't have your PAL, your license to have a gun, this is what we're doing. This is what we're promoting in our communities, and we're getting everybody up to a point where they're prepped up. They've got their food. They have everything organized so that when and if the shit hits the fan, we are going to survive the storm. Because we have the relationships made within these communities. And sometimes if we have to go to a neighboring community, or maybe our neighboring community might need some of our help, right? So communications is another huge thing within our meetings, communications. And what we have a communications expert, and he's traveled around to all the different experts. He's a ham radio instructor. Okay, he's got the highest license of ham radio. And he sets people up either with ham, where you need a license right now. Ham radio, you need a license to operate a ham radio. You can get a ham radio and you can listen to what's going on, but no one will talk to you unless you have a license. But CB, and we have been setting up in our different locations and communities with the neighbors. We've been setting up base CB systems with tall towers, and we're reaching 50, 60 kilometers. On average. On good days, we can talk to people in BC. We've talked to people in Georgia, in the United States, through a CB radio on a base station. So communications is another thing that we, especially at the very beginning, if things do go south, communications are going to be vital, because we're going to have to get information out to community members as quickly as possible, that, like, hey, things are happening. It's time to go to plan B or whatever you describe it as. So communication's another huge aspect.
So Scotty, we got a little bit ahead of ourselves. You started with 5 guys. How did it grow to hundreds? What was the process?
So the process was getting out on the street, and it was really easy in the beginning, Ed, because when you went out, if you seen someone without a mask, you would approach them and you would talk to them. And that's how that there, and a real estate agent. So a real estate agent, and he was quite busy, because there's a lot of people from urban areas in Ontario, the Greater Toronto area, and they're looking to get out of Dodge. And he brought in at least 6, right? And it just grew from there. So it was getting out on the street, and it was going to rallies. Like, we go to Peterborough rally, we go to Toronto, whatever. And you'd meet people and you say, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Kim. Oh, Kim. Hey, did you know that we get together and have meetings? So it's conversation. It's reaching out to people. And it was a little easier, a few weeks ago before they lifted the mask mandates, because it didn't matter what store you went in. If you weren't wearing a mask and you seen someone not wearing a mask, you would just start that conversation, say, hey, so nice to see your smile, brother. What do you think is going on? Whereabouts are you? Where do you? And then you just start the conversation. Well, we have a meeting every Sunday. Oh, you want to come out? Sure. It's a potluck. Let's go. Right. And now what I'm saying to people is throw a Canadian flag on your vehicle. And I'll tell you, it's amazing how the Canadian flag triggers people. Like, I'll tell you, I left a convoy in Lindsay 3 weeks ago, and I was at a stoplight, and I had my flags on my truck like I had on when I went to United We Roll in 2019, the 2 Canadian flags and the UN flag with a cross through it. And this guy behind me, he sticks his head out, and he says, you look like a effing moron. And I looked back in my mirror. He's in a car by himself, and he's wearing a mask. And it's just, it's amazing how the Canadian flag triggers these left, let me call them far left extremists, because that's what they call me, a far right extremist. I'm not. I'm right in the center. But anyways, throw a Canadian flag on your vehicle. I'm telling you, it identifies you as a true Canadian, and more so a patriot. And that's just in the last 2 weeks I've been suggesting this, because the amount of people now that I'm driving down the road and I see a little Canadian flag sticking out of the rear window or whatever, high beam, flash, a wave, whatever. And then you start, it's not that hard. It grows so fast. And right now, for your viewers, I'm telling you, there are people in your local community meeting. There may only be 10 right now, but I'm telling you, there are people in every single community. And I have a contact list, and I'm going to, I'll email that to Ed later. And I'm telling you, they're from Barrie, Oshawa, Newmarket. Like, we're talking Ontario. Well, some people are from out west right now or whatever, but I'm talking Ontario. But I'm telling you, there are people meeting in every single community throughout Ontario. And I would like to believe that throughout all of Canada, they're meeting. And it's what the biggest challenge is finding each other. I was at a meeting last Saturday, and I came up to this individual and started a conversation. I said, well, whereabouts are you from? He said, well, Woodville. And I said, well, do you go to the Woodville meetings? And he said, what Woodville meeting? And I said, Woodville meets every single Monday night. Woodville has an excellent community going. They got everything, all their ducks in a row. They have, they got homeschooling. They've taken care of every single aspect. Homeschooling, local farmers, organic farmers, their security, their POW courses, they have everything. And this individual, he said, I didn't know. I didn't know there was a meeting in Woodville. I said, well, it's right on the main street, and now poof. That's people don't know, because nobody's starting the conversations, and that's what we have to do. It's not, we sit here and we can go on a meeting, we can go on StreamYard, but it's what you can go to a community meeting, you can go to a rally. It's what you do after that counts, right? That's what got me a little bit kind of discouraged with going to the rallies, because everybody goes to a rally, they feel good about themselves. I did my part for Canada. And then the next 6 days, they sit at home and they don't do anything. That's not going to get us to any type of a solution that's going to bring any goodness to us. We have to do something after the rally. So when you're at the rally, talk to people, get contacts, and then get them to a private meeting. And if it's a start and you say, come to my house, we'll have a potluck, and you bring, and it starts with 3, 4, 5 people. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to grow to 30, 40, and 100. We had at our core meeting 2 weeks ago, 120 people in a fucking house. Now, this was a bigger house, but I'm telling you, it was stuffy. There was 120. And so that's a tough thing to do, but we did it. And that is what we have to do. I agree with the protests and the rallies and the convoys for a certain point. But after that, it's what happens after that that's going to bring us solutions. And that is having private meetings, because you cannot have private conversations at a rally. You cannot organize at a rally. You'll listen to a couple speakers or whatever, and you all cheer, and then you go home, and it's what you do after that. And that's why I got discouraged, and that's why I started saying, okay, enough with the rallies. And I still go to rallies, trust me, to meet people, but my main focus is on the community. And it's just when any change that has happened in any type of a civilization started from the community and went outward. Okay, if we're thinking we're going to tackle the de facto corporation of Canada, it's not going to happen. It starts in our local community, and that's where it builds, because we are the strength. And yes, communities had a whole lot more power 30, 40, 50 years ago than they do today. But we go back to that. It's uniting. That's the biggest challenge, is putting our differences aside, our egos aside, and let's find common ground and unite all these different groups, all the different groups we see at the rallies, and our communities, because we are the strength. And let me tell you something, the biggest fear, and whatever you want to call them, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, okay, the globalists, whatever you want to label them as, the biggest fear they have is us uniting. Because when we unite, they're done. They're finished. They're done. There doesn't have to be a shot fired. And but it's the most challenging thing we can do, because we have been so brainwashed over the last 10, 15 years that as soon as we don't agree with someone, we have to hate them. That's where all this hate comes from. And especially from the sleepers or the followers or whatever, they have so much hate when you bring a different perspective to what's going on around us, and you bring truth. And oh, you're a far right extremist, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a misogynist, like, all this nonsense. That's all they got, because we are, all of us here, everybody that I meet, we are loving. We're Canadians. We built this country. Our forefathers built this country. They call us racist. I grew up in the most multicultural area when I was a kid. There was no racism. We all got along. We all loved each other. We worked as a community. There was no racism. All this nonsense about critical race theory and all this racism from the globalists and our government, it's all to poison our minds. And we got to put that aside, and we have to find common ground that we once had. Think back to what your grandparents had. Your grandparents, they used to go to church every Sunday. And trust me, I'm not into religions. I believe in my creator. I believe religions are a creation of the globalist parasites to divide us more. But I do believe in my creator. And I do believe at one time, when we used to go on a Sunday to church, it wasn't just to go to listen to the word of God or whatever. It was to talk about your community, what's going on in your community, and what's going on with your government. And there was conversations. And that's what is a strong community, when you have that uniting and that common ground. And we've lost that because we don't go to church anymore. We don't go out and we don't socialize. We hardly even socialize anymore. Think back. I think back to when I was younger in the town that I am now, Bobcaygeon. And there was probably about 12 or 15 bars. And every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, you would go out to a bar, you'd go out to a dance, you'd go to dances, and everybody was socializing and the community got together. There was community dances on Saturday nights and people got together and they had conversations. And that's what made a strong community. It's all been shut down. Who goes to a dance on a Saturday night now? Nobody.
I
You're all
do.
stuck at home. Who does?
I did. Saturday night, we were down on Queen Street. Kelly and someone else, they rented a space. So every 2 weeks, they're having a
There.
meetup for a jam.
There. That's what we need. We need to get back to socializing and communicating and finding common ground, not getting angry at each other when we have a disagreement of something. You know, it's just like now when you disagree with someone, oh, I have to hate you. Get away from me. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. We can agree to disagree and we can debate. I love to debate. Debate me. I got strong shoulders. If you disagree with me, you disagree with me. If I disagree with you, I disagree with you. It's not a reason to hate, but this is what, of course, mainstream media, don't get me started, like mainstream media, crimes against humanity. I'm telling you, but we got to get back to what used to work for us. Let's look back. And we were under attack then, of course, but not to the extent that we are today. We didn't have the division that we have today, right? We got to turn the clocks back. We got to turn off the mainstream media and all that programming and nonsense, and we got to start the conversation and get out on the street. And when you're walking down the street, you're driving down the street, you see someone with a Canadian flag on the front lawn and they're standing outside, stop your car and go out and have a conversation with that individual. And say, hey, I like your flag. What do you think what's going on? Like, what's your opinion? That is how you unite. That's how you grow. And say, hey, we got a meeting on Sundays or we got a meeting here. Why don't you come out and have a conversation? Like-minded people. Anybody, there's so many people right now that have had enough with this nonsense. And a lot of the individuals who are starting to join into these communities have had the double jab. And at the very beginning, I'm going to tell you, the meetings that I was going to, anybody that was, had the jab, they weren't welcome because everyone was very fearful of the shedding. And I can't agree or disagree that shedding happens. I kind of agree that it does, but not to the extent that we really should have a lot of concern. And now we've kind of changed the fact because there are droves of people that have went and they've had the double shot and now they're pissed. They're angry. And we truthfully, as patriots, we welcome these people because we can use their strength. Okay. Because it's a strength in numbers, right? It all comes down to numbers with any type of a solution. It's the people, it's the numbers. So we are now, it doesn't matter. If you've had the double jab, we're going to send you to a natural path and we're going to put you on a detox, right? And these people, they're more than willing to do whatever and they're going to these natural paths. They're getting on these detoxes. There are detoxes. Can I say that they're going to save you? I can't say. I'm on a detox myself right now. I never had a jab. Let me lead up to the next thing I'm going to go to. Live blood analysis. And our own health care. We have to take care of our health, okay? And I know I'm going all over and I'm going pretty quick, but that's the way that I roll. So I had my blood analyzed about 4 weeks ago. Live blood analysis cost me $150 to see what's going on in my bloodstream. And what they found was spike protein and graphene oxide in my blood. Not to the extent of someone who had both jabs, but to the extent of someone who had at least one of the jabs. And that's what I have in my blood system. And I haven't had the jab. I've never had a test. I've never had a PCR test or nothing, but I've got spike protein and I've got graphene oxide in my blood. So I went on a detox and I've been on a detox now for 4 weeks. In another 2 weeks, I go to get another live blood analysis to see whether it's improving or how it's going. I didn't have any fear, didn't scare me. I didn't get all worried by this shit because I really and truthfully, I have faith in my creator. When my time's up, it's up. But that's another thing, if I can bring up, is we have to take us as patriots, whatever you want to call yourself, true Canadians, if you feel comfortable calling yourself a patriot. I call myself a patriot. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm a patriot. Go and get your blood analyzed. See what's going on within your blood, because there are things that you can do to improve. Take care of your diet 100%. Okay. We are, truthfully, we are the last line of defense. Okay. We are, this group here and all the other groups, if we could just get united, we're the last line of defense for this country. We have to keep ourselves healthy, right? We're going to the front lines. We're going to fight the war. We have to keep ourselves healthy. So get your diet. Okay. That's another thing we talk about in our communities, your diet, right? And get off the processed foods and all this junk, right? Get on a good organic diet. Get your vitamins, your vitamin D3, your vitamin C, your magnesium, your zinc, right? Your minerals. Alkaline water is amazing. Cancer cannot live in an alkaline system. I had really, really bad acid reflux, heartburn and all that for years. As soon as I turned over to alkaline water, I haven't had heartburn, acid reflux in 3 months since I've started drinking alkaline water. So there's so many things that we can do, and these are the things that we talk about within our community meetings, right? And that's going on, and this is what we're sharing with other communities. So I'm going to yield back for a second. Anybody got a question, or let me take a breath and a sip of something here?
No, Scott, it's, how long have I known you now? 4 or 5 years?
4 years, brother.
4 years?
I believe, yeah.
I think it's been longer than that. It's before 2018. Because we were both in C3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in 2017 we were in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's all academic. So it's 5 years now.
Time goes by so quick. I can't believe how fast time goes by. It's just like unbelievable. But anyways,
well,
yeah.
There's so much to do, especially these days. So as far as building communities goes, some people are shy, some people are awkward. They figure, oh, I don't want to go talk to that person. I can't. Well, you know what? All it takes is a little conversation. How many times have people bitten you that were not wearing masks or that had a Canadian flag on their car?
Say that again.
Have you ever been bit trying to talk to someone with a Canadian flag on their car or on their house that you stopped and talked to?
No, never. They're looking for that conversation. They're like, it's a number of people that we met in stores, and one of the biggest stores was Jolene's. It's Jolene's, and it's a health food store. And the number of people that we met, like I go there once every 2 or 3 weeks to pick up supplements and shit. And I go in, and as soon as you've seen someone without a mask, you just go directly to that person and say, hey, right? And start the conversation. And once you do it a couple times, and it's what we want, because we want to talk to someone too. We walk into a store, you see all these masked people all diapered up and all that. And like, it feels uncomfortable for me. It actually tees me off, and it angers me. And it shouldn't anger me. I feel sorry for these individuals because they're living with fear, right? Fear. They have a fear of dying. And so when I see someone without, and that's what I say, like it grew, and you just start a conversation, and think, I felt so alone. I was alone in here, like, and it's like, we have such a family now. And like, I was in Woodville on Monday night. I was Woodville the past Sunday. I was in Woodville too, Sunday and Monday. And like, it's just all these people that have come together, and you meet up, and it's hugs. We're hugging, right? But we're talking business, and we're talking solutions, and we're prepping. So it's very difficult, because I talk I talk about building communities, and then I talk about accountability. and what we need to do, and how we need to move forward in a different aspect, which is a conversation for certain individuals. Not all of our community members want to talk about, how we're going to succeed going forward. That's a private conversation for certain individuals. Like, everyone brings something to the community, and like, you feel that out, but everybody wants to be a part of it, because anybody who feels uncomfortable with what's went on the last 2 years, or they're just becoming uncomfortable after they've had their second jab or whatever, and they're pissed off, they're looking for something, and they're looking for us. They're looking for us here. And once they come onto your show or another show, or they come into the community, they think, oh, like-minded people, that's what I want. That's what we're attracted. We're attracted to like-minded people. That's what we want to be. We want to be around like-minded people, because it's a lot easier to deal with. When we're around the people all mass, and you're trying to have a conversation, it's nonsense. Like, and quite truthfully, I really don't have the time of day to talk to them. It's a waste of time. It's like, I'm sorry. I'm past that. And we don't need those individuals in order to move forward with our communities. We have to. And, it was actually Duke Willis. Duke Willis told me at the very beginning, he said, Scott, he said, you're trying to save everyone, and you're not going to save everyone. You are not going to save. And you got to realize that, because I want to save everyone. I do. Like, but I'm not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to do that. There's some people that are so far gone, and there's so much fear within their lives, that they will never, ever, ever look at some sort of a different opinion of what's happened over the past 24 months, and that there's evil in the world. And trust me, there's evil in the world. There's evil within our government, and there's evil amongst us. And that's what we have to get past. And at the end of the day, the only way we're going to find a positive solution, and you can look through history to different countries that have, almost fallen, such as we are right now. And it was the unifying of the people. It wasn't a politician. It wasn't a leader. There's no politician that's going to come in here and save us. Okay, I'm sorry, there's not. The system is not working for us. We got to change the system. But it's at the end of the day, it's we the people uniting and building these communities. So
interesting thing about communities. I got wind that there's 2 communities in northwestern Alberta where they've taken control of the local city council, and they're letting all the people go that have been double jabbed, and you're only allowed to work there if you're a pureblood.
Wow, that's excellent.
Now, I haven't got this confirmed yet. I'm hoping someone's going to send me some texts or some messages and say, yeah, talk to this person, or this is the town where it's going on. But I don't think it's a very big town. All I know that it's in northwestern Alberta.
So this is another thing that we've been discussing. And I have no faith in politics or politicians, but we have a couple of our communities and our community members, and they've thrown their hat in for the provincial election. There's one in Peterborough and one in Kawartha Lakes. But these are true patriots. The one is a former military. He was he was in Ottawa for 3 weeks. He was there for the full 3 weeks, and he came back, and he decided he was going to throw his hat in, and he's a part of he's a part of our community. He's been to 3 different community meetings. He's been there that I've met him, and I have no faith in that. But however, his idea is, the globalists have infiltrated all our governments and all our lives. Let's infiltrate them. So if we can infiltrate provincially and municipally with some good patriots, I don't believe that it's going to be the solution, but it may slow things down, and it may kind of rattle kick the bee's nest or whatever. and just cause some fear and chaos for them. So, not that I guess I support them. Okay, I will. It's going to make no difference if they get elected in the provincial election in their ridings. It's going to you're in their system. Okay, you're working within the corporation, and I came across there's the new Ontario. It's called the Ontario Party, and then there's the Blue Party or Freedom Blue Party or whatever in Ontario. They're freedom parties. I went and I looked at the constitution of the Ontario Party, and listen to this one, Ed, and tell me what your thoughts are. So, the second bullet point, 1.2. I affirm. Well, hold on. I affirm the Dominion of Canada under the Crown. So I'm going to repeat that again. I affirm the Dominion of Canada under the Crown. So what are your thoughts of that, Ed? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear that?
Well, they're going to swear into the Queen, right?
Do we have a queen in this country?
Apparently we do, because she signed off on the last constitutional amendments. Is that correct, Stefanos?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So she's still in control at the end of the day. This is why we need royalists.
That's okay. So let me ask a question. So I'm going back to the myths of Canada's days, Ed. Okay, Queen Victoria, 1901. Upon her death, set all the dominions free. True, false?
true. She actually insisted on it.
Okay, so
And they couldn't afford it back then to support the colonies.
So when did the Dominion come back into effect? We're Dominion? Like, is Australia still Dominion? Like New Zealand?
Actually, they're not, because they wrote their own constitution. As far as I can understand, as far as I know, they did write their own constitution, as did South Africa, as did New Zealand.
Yeah, and we
Canada
failed to.
never did.
No, why? Because we weren't told, we weren't informed that we had that right to write a constitution. So it's fraudulent. It's fraud. There is no fucking court. There is no Queen of Canada. I gotta watch my language. Sorry. Like that's the research that I've done. That we were a part of it at the very beginning. The myth is Canada, right? All this documentation and all that the Queen Elizabeth. Yeah, there's so much information there that it's just. We have a corporation that's ruling us. The corporation, as far as I'm concerned, is corrupt. It's fraud, and it doesn't exist. But we live under that. And the Trudeau in 1982, he brought the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in, and the Queen supposedly signed it and all that. Just another big facade and BS. So,
but hang on, let's not forget one thing that Trudeau also doesn't get enough credit for. He took away our gun rights, Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Is that true, Stefanos?
Yes, when he brought the charter in, he actually removed our gun rights at the same time, quietly, without anyone being aware of it.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
So, what are your thoughts here? Just thought came into my mind. Democracy, right? So we have a democracy, and it's a democracy. Democracy is good. A democracy works until it gets corrupted. And I'm going to bring up, you go and you read the U.S. Constitution, okay? In the U.S. Constitution, there's not one time that the word democracy is mentioned in the U.S. Constitution, okay? So the U.S. Constitution was corrupted, just as we were corrupted, okay? Back in, I believe it was 1924, around then. My dates may be off, but on a Christmas Eve, the Democrats brought in the central banking system, and that's when the whole government got all corrupted, and then they brought and created the CIA and all this foreign influence nonsense.
I think that was 1921, Scotty.
21?
1921, yeah, just after the First World War.
Yeah. So that's when democracy came into the US, because before that there was no democracy. We have a democracy in this country. Well, how's it working out for you? The democracy right now is that's what's mandating what we have against us, right? We have, like, you know, the minority of us have not gone and had the gene therapy. We haven't worn masks. We haven't taken part of their nonsense. We're the minority. That's how democracy works. So the 51% right now is ruling the critical thinkers. Democracies don't work. They don't. They work up until they're corrupted. Well, they're corrupted now. And our democracy is corrupted. So we got to change the system. We got to get rid of the democracy. We have to create our own constitution, and we have to become a republic. Republic of Ontario, Republic of Alberta, Republic of Saskatchewan, Manitoba, BC, right? We can do that. We have a lawful right to do that. Stefan, is that right? Do we have a lawful right to create a constitution?
Good question. Good question. So, constitutional conventions they have in the U.S. We don't have them in Canada.
We haven't had them yet.
Well, we don't have them. So the constitutional conventions are built into the Constitution of America, right? We don't have those in our Constitution. Problem is, you've seen the hoopla and all the hell it brought trying to get Trudeau to bring in a constitution. And then we have, so much disagreement with all the provinces. And really, what is Canada? You know, you're really 3 provinces, right? So all these other provinces signed on, kind of, so to speak. And this is why we have all this division and separation where everybody wants to break away, not be part of it. And look what Trudeau said. Trudeau said, oh, Quebec can basically write their own constitution. So everything is such a mess right now. The Constitution's under attack by everything and everyone, period. You know what? Let's have fun here. Let's try to write our own Constitution and see what happens. I'll guarantee you it'll just be rejected. The oligarchs there, the dictators in power, are just going to us.
You don't bring your constitution to them, right? And what I believe right now, okay, I don't look at the federal government as any type of, they have no lawful right to rule over me. So I look at Ontario as a nation, because I don't believe that the province is ever federated. Okay, look at Meech Lake Accord and the Charlotte. Okay, Quebec wanted to separate, and Quebec was basically told, okay, in no certain terms, you're already separate. You can't separate from something. You can't divorce something you're already divorced from. Now we have Alberta, and Alberta's talking about separation. And I'll tell you, I would support Alberta separating, because I'm telling you, Alberta has been raped tremendously over. They have no right. They have no say in any election, because Ontario and Quebec call federal elections with their seats, because there's no equal representation by any means. The equalization payments and the rape. If I was in Alberta, I'd want to separate too. But I say to the Alberta people, you don't have to separate. All you got to do is give a good old wave to the federal government and say, we're not sending you equalization payments. We are a sovereign nation now. Ciao. You don't, that's all they have to do. They just have to, but they can't look to their premier for that, because he's a weak piece of shit. It's the people that are going to rise up, and they're going to say, guess what? We're taking over Alberta, and you don't have to separate. You just declare yourself as a sovereign nation. That's all they have to do. It's that simple. But it's getting the people organized and on common ground to do that, because what's happening in Alberta, it's a crime. It's a crime. Like, you know, and I can understand why these people, but I say to the Alberta people, no different than I would say to any other individual who classifies like Alberta, oh, they hate Ontario and Quebec. Well, don't hate the Ontario sovereigns. It's not me that's robbing you, Alberta. It's the Laurentian group in Quebec, and it's our federal government, right? It's not me, right? my son went out like 8 years ago, and he was out in Alberta. He worked for 5 years, and they welcomed him. He he was welcomed. He made a good income and all that. And then when things started to shut down, he had to come back to Ontario. And trust me, Ontario was hit hard before Alberta was, because when they brought NAFTA in, and who brought NAFTA in? Oh, a conservative. All these conservative people. Oh, I'm a conservative. Well, guess what? Conservative brought in NAFTA. Conservative brought in the United Nations Agenda 2130, and a conservative signed into the Paris Climate Accord. So all these conservatives think, oh, liberals are bad, conservatives are great. Conservatives are what signed us up into all this nonsense with the globalists. But back to the point, if we get to the basics and we just turn away from the federal, because I'm telling you, I do not believe in my heart, and correct me if I'm wrong, and everyone has their own opinion, the federal government has no law, they have no lawful over us. They don't. It's a facade. It's fake. Ontario is its own nation, and if we could get our ducks in a row, shit together, let me say shit together, we just say ciao federal government, and we're gonna friggin' remove the federal government out of our property in Ottawa, because we own that. We the people own that. And another thing about turning away from the Corporation of Canada, and I got this from Doug Force long ago, the national debt belongs to the corporation. It doesn't belong to we the people. So there is, like, there's a lot of research to do. But at the end of the day, don't worry about the federal government. They're unlawful. Okay, they're corrupt. They're unlawful. They have no lawful right to rule over any nation or province. Let me say province. They don't have a lawful right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Start the conversation.
Yeah, so you bring up a good point. So speaking about Kenny in Alberta, well, I'm going to talk about Ford in Ontario. So you got Kenny in Alberta, you got Ford in Ontario, and just like you said, they're going to give you the big finger and tell you to piss off. They're going to do whatever they want, right? We have problems on so many levels, but what I have been seeing is there are certain provinces that are starting to say exactly what you say, F the federal government, and doing their own things. Now in the States, classic example, good example, in the States are saying piss off to the federal government. And this is where you're getting problems where they will make Colorado, let's use for an example, legalize marijuana. They're making so much money there. They don't charge taxes anymore, certain property taxes and stuff. They don't even charge them anymore. And then you have all these people growing, but then you got the ATF on the federal level coming in and arresting these people. Meanwhile, it's legal through the state. So this is where these battles happen, the conflicts happen. And then the Constitution, we have our division of powers, right? So, and we're seeing this crossover now where the federal government is now infringing on those powers. So they're saying, federal government saying, we're going to give municipalities the power to have central storage areas for people's handguns, the restricted firearms, which federal government can't do. That's unconstitutional because that is the jurisdiction of the province, so the state. But they are pushing all of this crap, pushing it this way, and then you bring up the other thing. You say all the people will rise up and say F you. So what happens when this sort of thing happens? And we've seen this happening in Ottawa, right? Just in a peaceful protest. The people start pushing back. The government then mobilizes its Nazi jackboots, and they go and abuse people, assault them with firearms. Meanwhile, all these people are peaceful. They're unarmed. How do you get around that? That's the problem. How do you get around that? That's a big problem. So I don't know how you get around.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, go, please do.
So what I would say is that how you get around that is that you get better prepared, and we get better prepared as patriots and sovereigns. And how do we get better prepared? So we line up, and this is what we're doing within our communities as well. And I'm going to say it. We're talking to ex-military. So we talked to ex-military, and just in the last 3 weeks, 1,200 military were fired because they didn't get the you know what. And these individuals are very angry. Okay, there's also a large group, the police, the RCMP, and all that. The retired, not the active by any means, but there are some active that don't want to take any part. There's a lot of police, and we have some police officers within our communities who were asked to go to Ottawa and partake in that nonsense, and they said, no, I will not take any part of that nonsense. So that is how we will gain the strength, and that is how, when the next time that we do this, it's going to be a little bit of a different story. And that's a conversation that some people don't want to have, but we're going to meet force with force and equal force under natural law. Okay, under natural law. Okay, if they are committing crimes against humanity against us, which I don't think any of us here have any doubt that what is happening within this country and the world is crimes against humanity, it's conspiracy to commit murder, it's attempted murder, and it's murder. Because I believe that we all have the evidence. We've all listened to the doctors and the specialists that aren't funded by the globalists. We have the evidence that this is genocide. And if we move forward under natural law, and we may have a little bit of force, trust me, we will. But it all comes down to the organization, and that's what's happening now. And I know that there's a large group out in BC, and I'm not going too deep into that, but they are making some very big preparations. And these individuals were in Ottawa. They were in Ottawa for 3 weeks. They are former military, retired veterans. And I'm telling you, they are making a plan. And maybe it's going to start in BC, and it will be a domino effect across each province. But I'm telling you, these truckers that left Ottawa, okay, many people may think, oh, they've gone and they got their tails between their legs and they've gone back and they're not doing it. It's the exact opposite. I'm telling you, they are doing what I've been saying for the last 7 months. Get into private meetings, private conversations. When we have our private meetings and conversations, we don't carry cell phones. People call me all day long. I don't have my phone with me. If I'm in a certain area and I'm in a meeting, we're not allowed to bring cell phones. We're not allowed to bring any electronics. Okay, and there's a reason for that, because they're listening to us, and we know that they're tracking us, right? That's another aspect of building your community. You have to protect your community, right? And we know, like, look at this Bill 100 that they're trying to pass, and the Bill 67 with the education. All these bills, it's just more freedom taken away from you. And if this Bill 100, which I believe has passed in Alberta, I can't verify that. Supposedly it was passed a year ago. It just hasn't been enacted. But this Bill 100, where you're not allowed to convoy, you're not allowed to block a road, you're not allowed to go to a protest, they'll freeze your bank accounts, they'll take your house, they'll take your property. You know, this is the tyrannical government, right, in their last ditch effort, because they know that they're going down, and they are going to go down. Trust me, I have faith that they're going to go down. And I would like it to happen sooner than later, but we'll see what the timeline is going to be. But there's a lot going on in the background, and eventually what these individuals are going to need is the support of the patriots, the civilians, right? Because when these individuals rise up to what they're going to rise up to, they're going to need our support as patriots, right? Whether it's feeding them or whatever, housing, like whatever it may be, they're going to need support of the patriots. And that's why it's so imperative now to get our communities organized and everybody identified with a plan, with communications, so that when the time comes that we need to move forward, and we're prepared, and those individuals who have the expertise to take care of this type of whatever you want to call it, I can't think of it, when that time comes, they're going to have the support of the patriots and the civilians, the sovereign man and woman. I yield back for a sec.
So, what is natural law? Because people don't know what all these different laws are. You hear common law, natural law, rule of law. Where does natural law come into place? Like, what is it, and how does that supersede any of the other laws? Is it something that's created by government, or
Natural law was the original law given to us by a creator. And we, the sovereigns of the world, lived under natural law until I believe the year was 1666, when the barons and lords and kings brought in common law. Common law, admiralty law, maritime law, civil law, and corporate law. All corporate law. It's all law of the globalists, right? Natural law given to us by our creator put we the people above any government. Anything above us is our creator. The government is supposed to be below us. The government right now is above us, and they're ruling us, and they're dictating to us, and they're mandating us, and we have no say. We have no say whatsoever. And there's also no accountability. There's no accountability with any government official. There's no accountability with Trudeau. Look at all the frauds, the we scandal, the SNC Lavalin, all these, the Uranium One deal that was pushed through, the BMO, the Bank of Montreal, started with Harper and finished with Trudeau. All these scandals, all these frauds, right? There's no accountability. Why? There is no accountability for it.
Well, there used to be. We had a lieutenant governor or governor general that reported to the Queen, and unfortunately, the governor generals you've got right now are not doing their job.
Who appoints the governor general? Who appoints the governor general in Canada? Trudeau. Trudeau appointed, right? Trudeau appoints. The governor general used to be appointed by the Queen. The governor general was the Queen's representative in Canada, and that ended. And Lyon Mackenzie King, in 1933, whatever one, the Westminster Act or whatever, he brought in. He made his own letters patent because he went to the Queen and said, we need a governor general. And the Queen said, well, we have no, we can't do that. It's not going to, we have no lawful right over Canada. So Mackenzie King did his own letters patent, and he was the first prime minister to get his own, to enact his own governor general. And every prime minister has appointed the governor general since. So you have a prime minister appointing the governor general who's supposed to be looking out over the government. You have the prime minister of Canada appointing the commissioner of the RCMP, who's supposed to be at arm's length away from the government and be able to
the foxes were watching the henhouse, obviously.
There's no lawful in this system. So there's no one. There's no accountability. And this is, before I yield back, put this in your mind, because we should all be saying this. We, as a sovereign man and woman, and trust me, there's nothing other than a sovereign man or woman. If you have problems with your gender identity, look down your pants or go get a DNA test. You're a sovereign man or you're a sovereign woman. All this other nonsense and divisions, groups, LGBTQ, all these groups are just there to divide us and create hatred. There's two. We're sovereign man, sovereign woman on this earth. That's it. The only thing above us is our creator. Our government is below us.
Right. So how it works when the governor general comes in, it is the prime minister that recommends them to the Queen, and then the Queen appoints. And as far as RCMP and the other police forces go, they're not there to protect any people. They're not there to protect. They're serve and protect, as they say, the people.
They're there to protect the politicians first and foremost.
Right. They are there. They are hired, and they are to serve and protect the interest of the level of government that hires them. So you got RCMP provincial
and
police, municipal, right?
and they swear to uphold the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So how can they possibly even think or think about a constitution, a new constitution? They swore an oath to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is it's what's killing us right now.
So it's not
Charter
so.
of Rights and Freedoms don't protect us. There's a few false things there that we have some rights here, but no, the Charter of Rights and Freedom protect the friggin' politicians before any sovereign man or woman.
We still have protections under that. There's many cases going through and successfully, but now that you bring that up, and you've said again on Kenny again, for example, and I'm going to bring Ford, for example. So I sent a link in private chat there. If you can throw that up quickly. Remember, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, a week ago or so, we done a show on Bill 100 and where it was at the time. So while people are sleeping and
being distracted,
having a good time, these they always call them honorable, but I'm going to call them dishonorable because they are doing dishonorable things. If you scroll down a little bit and see the course of this bill, you will see right now, yesterday, they ordered the third reading. So you'll see how it went, the debates and garbage. And you will see right now, as we're speaking, the debate has been done and the vote has been carried. And probably tomorrow or the day after, it will be receiving royal assent and it will become law. This is the most egregious, unconstitutional bill you have ever seen. And that's the same bill in the province that you were saying about no protesting and everything. But in this one, they even go as far. And you'll see, where is it? Reported without amendments. So they made no amendments to it from the day we dissected Bill 100. And they take away your right to a hearing. So you do not have a right to a hearing anymore. They will take your property, and property is anything and everything. That could be your car, your house, canister of gas, whatever. They can just simply strip everything away, throw you in the slammer, and let you sit there and rot in jail because you don't get a hearing. So this is happening constantly. Once one province does it, as you said, was it Alberta or something, or BC? Then the next province follows, and the next, and so on and so on. And it doesn't get challenged. So this is what's happening as of today. It has been carried. And something for people that don't know about politics, once a bill passes second hearing, it's very rare that it is stopped, and it always receives royal assent, sometimes at the same time. And since we have a majority government in Ontario, and we have an election looming within the next month, they're pushing this through with nothing being, to stop it. It should be the Solicitor General's job to turn around and say, wait, this is unconstitutional. I'm not going to let it pass, so it's not going to receive royal assent. But these scumbags, these dishonorables, pieces of what, have now become a rubber stamp, and they're just rubber stamping everything through. So there you go. Probably tomorrow, day after, it'll receive royal assent and become law.
I'll tell you, we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble, man.
Anything else you want to reference here, Stefanos?
Well, here, let me give you another fine example. Let me just, I'll put this link up in the private chat and throw this one up too, because humans, we cannot think accurately, or sorry, not think, we cannot remember accurately past 20 seconds. This is a fact. And so the more time that passes, we forget things. And guess what? Since there's an election looming, guess what? We're going into an unconstitutional election because cheesecake fat man Doug Ford decided, since he lost in the courts, the changes he made to the Ontario Elections Act, that it was deemed unconstitutional, he just went ahead and used a notwithstanding clause, and we are now in an unconstitutional election. This is what's happened. So they passed with the not instead of appealing and going through the proper processes. If you scroll up, you'll see the headline. Yep, it was just right there. Ontario passed election spending bill with notwithstanding clause. So he's stripped us for the next 5 years of our constitutional rights in order to essentially fix the election to make sure that he gets elected. And of course, he had his butt buddy partners, Randy Hillier, Roman Baber, Derek Sloan, and the rest of the companies in there that are there to keep him in power come this election. So look at these supposed new parties that are coming in. Look at their track record. Thank God everyone knew enough not to get Randy Hillier's party off. He couldn't even get it registered because he couldn't get enough signatures. But look at what he was doing. He was attacking constituents also. He is the worst of the worst and blatant about it. And then he tries to play a saint when COVID comes along. I know Randy a little bit more than any one of you would ever know Randy. But this is a whole big problem. Don't trust these career politicians. The only way you're going to do anything is if you elect a party that's not been elected before. But we have a problem with sheep voting, and people like sheep will go and vote for these scumbags and get them in again, when all the while we are where we are today, not only because of one party, but all four that are elected in office right now over the past 50 years have put us where we are today. And until the sheep stop voting sheep style, we're screwed. History repeats itself. Here is the freaking proof. Everyone needs to wake the hell up.
Well, there's some good news coming.
Lay it on.
What's that?
We're going to lose 80% of our population in the next 8 years. And most of those will be the liberals that have voted these governments into power. So what's good Ford going to do when there's only the only people left are the ones that are unjabbed or the pure-blooded? Then what happens?
Well, we got to see what position we're going to be in by that time.
Let's look at a different option. Let's look at an option that we, the people, get united and get organized, and we bring these parasites to a grand jury of natural law and try them for crimes against humanity, conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and murder, because they're guilty of it. And this is one thing that I get very frustrated. And I said it earlier. We all have the evidence that this pandemic, we have the evidence of the death. Why are we sitting? Why are we holding the line? Let's have accountability. Let's start shouting accountability and put fear into their lives. And once you start, we have in some of our communities, they're doing letter writing, right? So they write their MPs or MPPs, they write letters, and sign petitions, which mean dick all. Other than the fact that when you get tens of thousands of people writing letters, okay, then the politicians say, whoa, right? They may take a step back. But I'm not giving them a bye. Let's write them a letter and say, you will be held accountable. My mother died because she was given, the wrong drug in a hospital, this or that, whatever. Let's start preaching accountability to these parasites, politicians. And it's for me, I don't know, maybe I'm out to lunch. It seems that the solution is so easy. If we just got together, we all got together. We are the power. We are the strength. There is no military. There's no police force in this country. If we got united together, that could stop us. There's that is as hard as it is to understand, of finding common ground, especially today, because we have so many lost sheeple and lost souls. Don't even worry about those. We get the patriots together and get them well organized, and we move forward, and we will not fail. And we will exterminate these parasites, these politicians. Look, you just read that, Stefan. that bill one, it just infuriates me that people are sitting back and letting this happen. That's another that I can't believe it. I'm mind boggled, and it angers me that we, like, I'm telling you, our forefathers, our grandfathers and great grandfathers are looking down at us, and they are disappointed. I'm saying that nicely. They're disappointed because I'm telling you, my grandfather would not have let us get to the point we are today. And whether you talk about the education system and how they're poisoning our children and giving gene altering therapies to 12-year-olds, are you kidding me? They are attacking our children, and we're still not in the street fighting back. I'm shocked because I don't know how much more people will take in this country before they rise up. Because if they wait too long, we will not have a means to fight back. And right now, that is the biggest thing that the globalists, that I say, they fear us uniting. The other thing that they got a little ahead of themselves, because the United States and Canada should have been disarmed by now, and we're not. We still have a means. Other countries that have risen up, they had no means like we have. They had to rise up with pitchforks or bats or whatever. We still have a means to change the course that we are on. And the only way we're going to change the course that we are on right now is by finding common ground, losing division, losing all the different groups, and uniting as one. And that's the only solution. I'm telling you. I yield back.
Ed, you're muted.
This Bill 100, obviously it's unconstitutional. So what's going to take? The first person that gets a ticket under this or gets hauled away, do we stop them and say, no, we're going to challenge this on a constitution, or what?
Yeah, you would challenge it constitutionally, but how many people are not going to do it and they're just going to sit back and let it happen? We've seen this over and over and over, and it goes years and years without being challenged. I've already said it. Victim surcharge. It's unconstitutional. It's a cruel and unusual punishment. It's been struck down by the courts and criminal, but you know what? Even though it's unconstitutional, they keep pushing it on you in traffic tickets and all this other garbage, provincial offenses. Nobody has challenged it. Why are you not challenging it? Why are you not out there challenging that in itself? So you let it happen. This is our problem. Nobody challenges this stuff. They just go along with it, and that's it.
They take a bite. They take a bite. They take a bite. They take a bite, and you don't even hardly notice it. But this Bill 100, that's a real kick. That's noticeable. And if people had a true understanding, but you're talking about all the sleepers, all the liberals. Like, I look at some comments on some different posts, and these people, like, there's no problem in Canada. Trudeau's doing a good job. Like, you know, it's like these lost souls, and you know, that's how a democracy works for you. Like, you know, they're the ones voting in the Liberals, and it doesn't matter who you vote for. You could vote in the Conservative; it'll be the same outcome at the end of the day. But it's like these lost souls that have no critical thinking left. That they have no spine, they have no backbone, they have no strength, and they just let this happen. And then we have us, and you do shows, and we're on shows, we go to rallies and protests and all this, and we're trying our best to bring light, and we're trying to bring truth. And you're called the conspiracy theorists, the far right extremists, or whatever. And that's the only attack they have on us, because we're loving Canadians. We look at what we built in Canada. Look at the country that was built by immigrants. There's no racism problem in this country. Look what we established. And we established it because our Creator gave us everything that we possibly need, other than it's being robbed from us every day right now. We shouldn't be paying income tax. We shouldn't be paying any tax. Our natural resources should be giving us a dividend check every month. And yet we're being robbed. And we don't have to be robbed. If we would just get our our acts together and get organized, and we just back away. Ciao, federal government. We're going to create our republics, and we're going to create our own constitution, and we'll create a constitution that can't be corrupted and can't be hijacked, like the Constitution of the USA was hijacked in 1921.
So somebody had a couple of comments ago there up on the screen. It was a good comment. Bill 100 is the same as UN drip. Let me just address this. So in Alberta, we had all these people, and we were trying to collect, what was it, some 6 million signatures or some garbage like that. And the documents they were posing and showing what they were trying to gather these signatures under was under the UN drip. Why the freaking hell would any of you people in Canada want to waive your sovereignty and give it to some Marxist, unelected, unaccountable bureaucrat under the United Nations who has no authority to Canada? Why the hell would you sign this stupid garbage document and sit there and try to give your sovereignty away to the UN? Are you freaking people crazy? Stop signing all of this garbage. Read what the hell it is. Read what's in there. Don't just sign it because I tell you to sign it, or somebody tells you to sign it. Read it. MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. That really screwed over the truckers. They were saying that Canada's part of the Helsinki Agreement. Hell no, it's not. There's falsehoods in that garbage. We got to stop doing that. And I'll thank every single person who started rescinding their signatures because they didn't know about it until they'd actually done the research. Stop listening to these people with alter agendas trying to waive our sovereignty, or at least what sovereignty we have left. And we got to start standing up for Canada and standing up with each other, because we're going to get screwed. We're not only getting screwed by the politicians, but we're getting screwed by the people who are fake, trying to say they're going to lead you out of this and sign over your sovereignty to some other garbage that's in a freaking a quest for one world government, world control under one freaking government. Wake the hell up. I'll give him a freaking Will Smith slap upside the head, Kerry. No problem.
And now we're back to the same circle. We got to build these communities, which is why I thought it was so important for you to talk on this, Scott, because you've been very successful getting the
It
ball.
is. It is, and it's working. It is actually working. Is it working fast enough? Not for myself, but it is. It in the last 3 months, it is tripled. So it is, and that's what we have to do. What other option? And I'm always open to option. I'm always open to conversation and debate. Like, if you have an idea, we're in a biological and a psychological war right now, without any doubt. What are we going to do about it as sovereigns? What are we going to do? We're not going to have a politician. We're not going to elect someone that's going to fix this. It's going to be up to us, we the people. So, what else can we do other than get our communities organized and built up, make your relationships with your farmers, as I said, and the military? Because these retired military and the ones that were just recently fired, 1,200, that they're an asset to us, because they have they have the knowledge, they have the training, right? They know exactly what to do. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in BC. And I don't know if some of you seen that video, but it came out yesterday, and I'm surprised. You'd think that CSIS and the police would have arrested him by now, because basically it's like treason and the way he was speaking. But if this does move forward in the next 8 weeks, it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out, and hopefully it'll be a domino effect across each of the provinces, and they'll stand up and rise up. But the only solution that we have is we the people. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, that's my belief. It's we the people, and we got to get organized, and you got to start the conversation. And it happens here, and I know all of you are doing your job, right? You're here every night, and you're speaking the truth, and you're that's what we do. And we try to bring more people and get more people organized, and it's getting them organized. It's not in all these 15 and 50, 100 different groups because, well, we're all in these little, we're weak, we don't have the power. But when we unite, that's when we have, that's when the military that is active that may go against us, that's when the police forces that are active that may go against us, they don't have a chance. They don't. We outnumber them. We outnumber them 200 to 1, 300 to 1, whatever it may be. We outnumber them if we unite. And that's just with the Patriots. I'm not talking about the sleepers.
Okay, so let's go back. Stefanos, you said about writing our own constitution. I was going to bring this up earlier. Back in 1991 in Yugoslavia, they started having referendums if the province of Slovenia wanted to secede from the country of Yugoslavia. There was 2 of those, and I think the vote came back 93%. The second one was like 96%. And the second one is, do you accept the moving ahead with the current constitution that we're proposing, or something along those lines? Don't quote me on this, guys. It's been a while. And Slovenia did secede. This is what started off the Balkan Wars. It was July 1st, 1991, if I'm not mistaken. Could have been 92. And then they were looking for acknowledgement from other countries. And once they got acknowledged from another country, all the other countries started saying, yeah, okay, we'll accept you guys are a sovereign country all of a sudden. And that's how they gained their independence. And it started off the largest movement of troops since the Second World War, when the Yugoslav army proper came up from the south. And there was a standoff for about, I think it was a little over a week. They almost got control of the one of the airports. They started scrambling jets. And things got tied up, and they said, okay, here's all your military. Here's your military men from other provinces, from other parts of former Yugoslavia. And they negotiated, and it was a done deal. They had their own communications set up. They had their own stockpiles of armament stocked up. They even had their own uniforms ready to go.
Yeah, so that's something I'm not, informed on or anything, unfortunately. But I know what works here. I've seen what works here in Canada, at least. And, when somebody like Ford uses a notwithstanding clause, it has to be demonstrated the need to do that. But in this case, it wasn't. And it was some civil liberties that had it taken him to court and won. But why didn't they act? Why didn't they act after? Because Ford never ever demonstrated, which is a requirement that they need to demonstrate. They just can't say, I'm using the notwithstanding clause, you're done, that's it. They have to demonstrate. They have to show why they need to infringe on your constitutional rights. And this wasn't done. Why didn't this same group go back and say why? There is another avenue they could have taken, which is outside the charter. And at that point, they can't use a notwithstanding clause because that only applies to the charter section of the Constitution. It doesn't apply to the rest of the Constitution. So that's my big question, is why? And why did they never challenged it? Why haven't they challenged? Why is it not demonstrated they had to do this? So, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was the first time in Ontario that the notwithstanding clause has ever been used. But people, you need to understand, and Scott, you touched on something, which get involved in your municipal, provincial, federal elections. Run as candidates. Trust me, I run as candidate in provincial elections all the time. There's nothing to it. Run in, get that point across to the people. Don't worry about it. Don't be nervous. But you got to get in there. Get people, get leaders in communities that have following. Get people that you can trust. Get them to run as candidates on every level. Because this is exactly what the freaking commies and the fascists have done to our country, is they started running their own candidates in there and started
infiltrated.
So you got to do that same thing back. And in the meantime, whatever else is going on, you keep pursuing it. But at least on a political level, get your own people in. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to it. I've done it 1,000,000 times. So, well, that's over exaggeration. I've done it 5 times, but this will be 6 coming up. Just get in there, get the facts out there. I caught these guys so flat-footed in real debates when you're invited. Many times to try to keep you out of debate, which is unconstitutional. And
It's a crime.
Yeah, this year we will
It
be
is a crime.
standing hard on this. So if it invite us to debates, the media tries to keep us out because look at it. Capitalism works. Crony capitalism does not work. And that's what we're seeing right now. All the small, mid-sized businesses, they're all getting pushed out by the government. But their buddies, they're all getting all this funding from the government to keep them afloat and keep going while they destroy everyone else. Look what they just done. Look what big fat Ford done. Dishonorable again. $500 million to the Toronto Star to keep them afloat.
Toronto Red Star Stefanos, just
Yeah,
because they
sorry.
don't call them.
Yeah. The Communist News went and gave them that of public tax money. Why are we getting nailed? Our tax money that should be going for infrastructure and services, why is that being given to a freaking news outlet? Are you freaking kidding me? It's the same payout that Trudeau gave some 600 million to all the newspapers. Now you got one degenerate who's a premier of Ontario who gave it to the Toronto Star. Are you freaking kidding me? We got to really wake up, get involved in this.
Control the media, and you control the mass, right?
Control the minds of the public.
Yeah. And that's one of our biggest challenges is the media, because how many people sit in front of that media and that's how they base their opinions. They base their opinions on everything. I see all these people. Oh, I support Ukraine. I support Ukraine. Oh, really? Do you know who you're supporting? The most corrupt country in the whole world? The money laundering center, only Canada second to it? It's like, but all these people, they sit in front of their mainstream media, and that's our biggest challenge. If we could have equal time with truth on mainstream media, we wouldn't be in the position we are in today. So the media is a huge factor of crime within this country. They're bought. They sit and they read their scripts and they're collecting a paycheck, and they really don't care whether they're spewing lies or propaganda. They're just collecting a paycheck. That's fraud. That's a crime against humanity. They're harming we the people. The mainstream media is harming us. They're bringing harm to us. Under natural law, that's a crime. They're lying. They're misleading. They're giving misinformation that's leading people to go and get that double jab or whatever it is. Right? They're guilty. And we have to start identifying, and we have to start calling them out, and we have to start preaching the word accountability. Accountability is going to come. And trust me, you're going to see a lot of the weaker ones. They're going to jump ship very quick when they know, because they know what they're doing. And when you start preaching accountability to them, they're going to jump ship so quick. It's like textbook. And you watch what happens. But we got to start preaching the word accountability. Hey, guess what, Dougie? You're going to be held accountable. Let's do a forensic audit. Let's talk about forensic audits.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to audit all of this garbage that they've done.
Exactly. Let's do a forensic audit on it, and their finances. Doug Ford, what, $1.5 million, $2 million, 2.5 years ago? He's what, 52, 53 million right now?
Hey,
that's conflict of interest. You cannot be the leader of Ontario and have a business and work that business. Did Trump have to step away from his business and let his kids take care of it when he was president? I'm not for or against Trump. I have no opinion on that, other than he did change things. Right? He brought all the manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. He brought the auto sector. The auto sector. He brought the oil and gas back, right? That's what we need in this country. our country has failed, and it started to fail way back, well, 100 years ago. But let's talk about 90s when NAFTA came in, and all our manufacturing jobs, all our auto sector left, and it hit Ontario really hard in the 90s. Conservative.
So my father had, when he was around, my father, he ended up with actually one of the copies of the NAFTA agreements, because they didn't put him out anywhere. But with his position where he was at the time, he ended up with a copy. That's the worst thing that could have ever happened to Canada. That was
look what happened. And now where are we? And look where we're at. And we're reliant on China, right? Look, go drive by an auto dealership and see how many cars are on the lots. Oh, there's not cars in the lot. Oh, because a chip plant burnt down in China, right? We used to manufacture washers, dryers, fridges, stoves, TVs, toasters, ovens. What we manufactured lasted. You think back to when you were a kid and what your parents had for appliances and how long they last. They lasted a lifetime. If something went, you'd repair it. We used to have a repairman that would repair our TVs. Now it's a disposable society we live in. You buy a fridge, it lasts 5, 6, maybe get 7 years out of it, and you throw it in the dump and you buy a new one because it's too expensive to fix it, or you can't get the parts to fix it, right? A stove. I was lucky. I got the last element for my convection oven stove about a year ago. It was the last one in Canada. It came from Alberta. And if I didn't get that one, it would have went into the dump because there's no more available. That's a society we live in since. When we manufactured our own shit, we had our jobs, we had good jobs, and we manufactured good products that would last you a lifetime. And now we rely on offshore shit, and I'm not afraid to say that. And look what we get. We get disposable items that don't last us. And we lost all those jobs. They said, oh, don't worry, you're going to turn into a technical type of a province. And you're like, we don't have to manufacture. BS. When you are reliant on foreign countries, if that foreign country decides to shut it down, you're without the products that you need. And that's what we're living in right now because there's shortages of products all over. And that's another thing, if I can add to the prepping part of our communities, when you're prepping, you prep also, and you get whatever parts you think you may need in the next couple years for your traveling vehicle. So for your car, maybe you go and you buy pads, rotors, calipers, an alternator, a starter, right? Buy those parts. If you can afford it, buy them and put them aside because you may not be able to get those parts. There's already shortage of parts for auto. I over and over again. Oh, there's no bearing. Sorry, we're gonna have to wait, and you're gonna wait 2-3 weeks or whatever. So when you're prepping, think about your means of travel, your means of transportation, and what you may need. Because when things hit the fan, and we're already told there's going to be shortages, right? Shortage of food, of course, it's already starting to happen. But it's also goods like auto parts and that's a part of the prepping as well. I yield back.
Yeah, I know that. I needed one little stud for my freaking car, and my car sat for 6 months. It couldn't get repaired because it didn't have something as small as a stud. We have nothing for chips. All our lithium mines have been sold to China. We have nothing here. This is oil, energy sector. People, wake the hell up. Go to your energy sector, oil companies, these big producers, and look at their renewable energies. They're pushing the renewable energies because government has now said we're going to be at zero emissions. We're all going to go to freaking electric garbage, and we're going to do away with oil. So these companies are pushing it. It's money. They're not going to say no and then get screwed at the end of the day because government brings up some legislation that says you can't do oil anymore. They're all over it. It's all about money. Don't think that these companies are not going to go along with the agenda because they're going to lose.
I got a story about appliances. I got a Sub-Zero / Amana fridge. It was a nice fridge. Bought it in '98. I changed a whole bunch of components. Could not get the defrost cycle to work properly. The heater wouldn't kick on. I had a buddy of mine. It turned out I suspected the relays, but you couldn't buy just the relays. I couldn't buy a replacement board. 2 appliance people told me, just get rid of it, go buy a new one, you're done. I had a second cousin come over. I said, any chance we can change these 2 relays? He says, yeah, give me the number and I'll order it. A couple weeks later, he comes by. Took him 10 minutes to solder out the old relays, put in the new ones. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. Fridge still works perfect.
Yeah, and
So,
that was the same thing. I got a really nice big stainless fridge, and the company the appliance company that was coming to work on it said, it was going to cost over $4,000 to fix. So we didn't fix it, obviously, just buy a new one. But that one that was sitting there was kind of bugging me. So, and they were saying it needed a new compressor and the Freon tubes were gone. That was BS. I ended up doing a continuity test on the freaking compressor. No problem. I went and bought a little part, charged me $75, plugged it in. It was just a little plug. Plugged it in, and boom, fridge is working. No problem. Freon's there. It's nice and cold. Just all BS. So you got to watch these appliance companies too, because they're just looking to profit off you and scam you.
okay, guys, should I play this video?
Yeah, let it go.
But let me tell you something. We've got a few good people standing up. All right, and by a few, I mean in the thousands. All right, now they're not just people like yourselves, but they're trained military and ex-RCMP. Okay, and what they've done is we've all grouped together, and there's a lot of us. All right, a lot of the Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, and now they're coming out of Manitoba. All right, we're all teaming together. And in under 8 weeks, we're going to change everything.
Wow. Cool.
All right, or die trying, to be honest with you. So I want to give you some encouragement here because you know what? We're organized. We're not, there's no more convoys for us. There's no more rallies, no more nothing. Everyone's gone into training and been training for weeks on end ever since Ottawa. So you've got a trained group of people coming out that are going to stop this in its tracks. Okay? We're fighting for these. We're fighting for these right here. Yeah? Okay? So when I tell my kids, I got little grandkids. I got 6 of them, and I've got 7 other kids. 7 kids, 6 grandkids. Only 2 of my daughters have had kids, so I'm in big trouble later. They say it's a blessing. A blessing is having your own bathroom, okay? Not all the kids. But the little ones stick to you. What is that? I don't know what that is. Like they get stuff on them and then they stick to you because I walk around, they're stuck to my leg, right? It's like, Grandpa, and I go, what did I tell you? And they go, sorry, Marcus. Don't call me Grandpa, not yet. Anyway, the reason that we're doing this, the reason that our hearts and souls are in this thing, it's all about the kids, all right? I mean, not to be morbid, but I'm 60 years old. My life's over, man. I mean, I had a great time. Right? If I can go out in a blaze of glory holding the Canadian flag, let my kids remember that, I'm happy with that. I'm really happy with that. My father left when I was 1 year old to go to war. Master Chief Navy SEAL, never came back. So my grandfather died in the war. 8 of my uncles died in the war. We're just a family that just seems to like to die. I don't know what that is. But for these little guys here, if we want them to have a future, we want them to be able to have the things we had when we were kids, growing up in a country that's free, growing up where you know you can be anything you want later on, that nobody sticks a number on you, nobody says this is your job for the rest of your life because that's what's coming. We're not going to allow that to happen. All right? And I know everybody says, oh, sure, you take out the leaders of BC and Alberta and Saskatchewan, but they're just puppets. And I say, yeah, they're puppets, but the puppeteer can't do anything without the puppets. So let's just take the puppets first. Let's get rid of them. And you know what we're going to do to them? Here's what we're going to do to them. We're going to make them accountable for what they've done.
I hope so.
All right? Because what our little band of crazy people is going to do is we are going to sit in a spot and they're not going to move us. And there's way too many of us. And we're going to demand the court case happens right now. And if you tell me that we're following science, we want to see it. Show us the science or shut up. And if you can't show us the science, get out of that office. Right? Now it sounds impossible. I know what it sounds like. It sounds a little crazy, right? But it's not crazy, because this is the way the world has always worked. When the masses stand up and say enough, believe me, it's enough. It's over. All right? And everybody will follow. Don't worry about the people that aren't looking right now. And once in a while, we drive by, somebody holds up their finger, you know? And I hold up my thumb, and he's got a finger, I got a thumb. Hey, we're still matched. We're still, we're still brotherhood over there. But the thing is that they're frustrated because they gave in. You didn't. They're frustrated because they didn't read. They didn't learn. They didn't use their critical thinking. They're mad at themselves. They're not mad at you. Because if we're right, they're going to feel pretty stupid. And that's just the way it's going to go for them. Because we are right. Because we got tons of doctors out there that are on our side. And the reason they're on, you know how you trust the doctors that are on our side to tell them the truth? I'll tell you why. They take their license away. They're making no money, and there's no advantage for them to tell you what the truth is. But Bonnie Henry makes $400,000 a year.
Yeah, that's right.
She's lying.
She's lying.
All right? So we got to take Bonnie Henry, we got to take Adrian Dix, and we're going to take Horgan, and we're going to put them on trial. Crimes against humanity. Inflicting bodily harm and death with a deadly vaccine. And they've got to prove that they haven't done it. They won't be able to. They won't be able to. And the thing is that they can't force us out of where we are the way that we are going to infiltrate. So that means they're stuck with us. This is not like Ottawa. I was in Ottawa. I rolled in with the convoy. I rolled out on the last day. Okay? It's not going to be that way. They're not going to be able to come in on us. Okay? That was women, children, great people, old people, young people, bouncy castles. That is a completely different situation than what we're setting up. All right? They're going to face the alphas of all the humans. All right? And they are not going to swing anything at us because they'll be too afraid. I guarantee it. Okay? They're going to be afraid. Okay, what else can I tell you? So here's what's going to happen. I want you to look at the website where you're going to register, and you are going to get notified when this happens. And you've got 24 hours to get your ass there and back us up. So all you patriots that say that you want something done and you want to be a part of it, okay, you won't be a part of the dangerous part. But what you're going to do is we need hundreds of thousands of you to witness what happens. All right, it's very important. So what I want you to do is take this down. Just say it, Canada.ca. Get on there, get registered on there, and then when we send it out, you're going to know what happens. Just say it, Canada.ca. Got that? Just say it, Canada.ca. All right? All right? They're going to die because you can't withstand what's coming. But let me tell you something. We've got a few good people standing up. All right? And by a few, I mean in the thousands. All right? Now, they're not just people like yourselves, but they're trained military and ex-RCMP. Okay? And what they've done is we've all grouped together, and there's a lot of us. All right? A lot of the Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, and now they're coming out of Manitoba. All right? We're all teaming together, and in under 8 weeks, we're going to change everything.
Wow. Cool.
All right, or die trying, to be honest with you. So I want to give you some encouragement here because you know what? We're organized. We're not, there's no more convoys for us. There's no more rallies, no more nothing. Everyone's gone into training and been training for weeks on end ever since Ottawa. So you've got a trained group of people coming out that are going to stop this in its tracks. Okay? We're fighting for these. We're fighting for these right here. Yeah? Okay? So when I tell my kids, I got little grandkids. I got 6 of them, and I've got 7 other kids. 7 kids, 6 grandkids. Only 2 of my daughters have had kids, so I'm in big trouble later. They say it's a blessing.
All right. So if anybody wants to reach out to Scott, that's the guy right up there. That's his email on there. And we got 2 minutes, both of you. Final comments? Scott, you're muted. Hang on. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you all. I do have to cut out too. My Wi-Fi shuts down at 11, so I don't leave my Wi-Fi in the house when I sleep. It's another thing. But anyways, thank you all for your time. They did put my email up there. If you're interested in getting involved in a community, you can reach out to me. I could try to lead you to individuals in your area. I have a contact list for all of Ontario. I'll do my best. It's busy, but give me some patience. You might have to email me twice, but thanks all. Hey, freedom. Let's move forward.
Stefanos, quickly.
Yeah, I'll just say, Melissa, I seen what you're saying there. If you can shoot me a quick email, shoot me an email. Ed, I don't know if you can throw my email up there. She can get a hold of me and let me know what your problem is. If I can help you, I will. If not, I'll point you to someone who can.
And I'm looking for that email. Where is it?
It's already up.
Oh, thanks, Derek. All right, guys, thanks for coming on. Great night. People, if you've been watching this, you find some value in it, don't be afraid to share this out. We're on a whole bunch of different platforms. Derek, where can people find this show?
Oh, geez. In the description here, I'll cut and paste and put it in the description. There's a lot of them.
So it's on my Facebook where there's Silver is Real Money. There's another new
Noble
YouTube
Savages.
page. Oh, it's not on there tonight. Oh, it is on there tonight. It's also on your Twitter, Derek?
Yeah.
And which other platforms? We're on DLive.
My own website. I just posted it there. So
Noble Savages.
Derek
Media.
Peter Story, Derek Story, Noble Savages Media, which is my main page, Ed Gemsek. There's so many. Oh, there's another one right here. NobleSavages.me. We have it everywhere.
And if you got to keep a couple bucks, $5, $10, $20, email Derek, please. We gotta keep the show going, or maybe we don't. Maybe we should just end it.
Yeah, maybe we should just end it, eh? No, but let the people decide.
That's it.
All right, I'll play us out, guys. Thanks, Scott, for coming on. Great conversations like always, and I'm always learning myself. So, where's that song?
Take care, brothers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you kindly, Scott. Thanks, Stefanos.
Thanks for having me on.
Take care, all.
I had it picked out there. Oh well. Here we go.
Someday I would buy dollies with good oranges, sails to distant shores. Stand up high in the prow, noble bark I steer, steady course for the havens. Too many foemen, too many foemen, too many foemen.
Tens of thousands on my right, thousands by my side. War between good and evil, watching our fists collide. Battle for our freedom now, to the streets we ride. Flags waving all around, pages full of pride. This is where we make a stand, no more give or take. March around the Capitol, storm the city gates. Putting pressure on their necks until the truth breaks. All walls of corruption, take out all the snakes. Star Spangled Banner, got it playing loud and proud. People from all walks of life filling up the crowd. Defend the Constitution, many warriors survived. Casting down any among us who have bucked and cowed. Enough with tyranny, we come to take our country back. For all citizens, white, red, brown, or black. Return her to a form of glory, fix their bloody crack on the crown. Fetch a gown, it's going down. My mama told me, yeah, she warned me that this day would come. I'm like my father, go to combat with the blazing guns. I survived that, then I came back to the place I'm from, to face off all these haters and the battle in the place I love. You can't break me down, I'm indivisible. You still see my raps if I was invisible. But I'm standing tall, and I spit the truth, so you all appalled. cause you know it's true. They call it freedom cause the fallen troops pay for this. I love this country, doesn't matter how much hate I get. I take my colors in the battle, ain't no wavering. Cause this is for my warriors who marching to the cadences. This is for the sisters working hard on the ship. This is for the brothers getting y'all doctorate. Fathers, yeah, taking y'all on the ship. Baby, tell me why it's hard for the patriot.